What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And man, the tariffs, there was some, I made some money. I'm not going to say I didn't. I made some money off of Stellantis' stock the day that the announcement of pause of tariffs happened. We saw an 18% increase in the stock at Stellantis, only for the next day when the White House clarified that, oh no, auto tariffs are still at 25% and we're not changing that, and could go higher. Boop. But luckily, like I said, I sold the stocks that I purchased or my initial investment, and my profit I kept in those stocks. So I hold those shares for free now. Now, granted, the market has gone down again for Stellantis, and it is taking a beating. And, look, this is supposed to be the last day of the plant being idled in Windsor, but according to my sources, it may go on further, and production of the Charger might move rapidly. Roll the intro.
For the longest time, whoa, for the longest.
Yo, Percocet, Miley Percocet, Percocet, Miley Percocet, Represent, gotta represent.
And I apologize in advance. There is a ton of freedom flying around today. The old F-15s are in the air today, making a nice little appearance. That full military power. No emissions on that. Yee! Oh, man. So, I just saw an interview with Doug Ford on Fox Business. He's the Ontario Premier, and he said something pretty interesting, and I'm wondering why the Trump administration hasn't jumped all over this. They are talking about dropping all tariffs, period, between the U.S. and Canada. Now, I understand why that probably won't happen, and it's because, President Trump is focused on those automotive jobs. It's one of the things that he campaigned on. But I'm wondering if we can get to a no tariffs on anything but automobiles and say it's like 10%, 12%, maybe move the Charger back here, let the minivan still get made there. There's got to be a deal that's present that works for the UAW, the auto workers, and the country. You get what I'm saying? Like, right now, people are basically effed on both sides of the border. I know in the long run that this works out, and so do a lot of other UAW members. They know that in the long run, these tariffs help the automotive industry. What's interesting to me is the people that are, and I feel like some of them are probably younger and don't understand what's going on, just that they've been laid off. Now, we know that there's 900 workers currently laid off from Stellantis. We know that there's over 6,500 or so laid off in Canada, or is it Canada and Mexico together? I'm not sure, but I know there's a ton of people laid off in Canada right now, and it would help them immensely, for their economy and ours if that wasn't the case. That said, I also understand where the U.S. auto industry is from. And being that we've had that auto pack since the 60s, I don't know if we get rid of that with Canada. I think what maybe the president should focus on more is removing the auto manufacturing from Mexico, right? We know that those workers down there are getting like $3 an hour. It's not the same thing like as in Canada that have Unifor, they have their own union. They're getting, civilized wages to work there. In Mexico, not so much. And we've seen nothing but problems from Mexico. Everything from issues with the Demon 170 engines to everything else has been a friggin' disaster. Now, granted, wages are cheaper. They're just throwing stuff together down there. But when you really look at it, after all the warranty work and everything else that has to be done there, it's kind of like, Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But without further ado, let's let the Ontario Premier talk about it himself. I'll run this quick clip and we'll come back and we'll discuss.
Because it's just hurting both markets. It's hurting the American people. It's hurting Canadians. It hurts both sides of the border right now.
Okay, let's just drill down into the auto industry at the moment. We just saw Stellantis. It's taking an absolute dive here. We do know that it was, I believe, last week that Stellantis announced that its plant in Windsor in Canada had halted production for 2 weeks. What does that mean? Can you give us some granularity on whether that will start up once again at the end of this week? What's the timing there?
Well, we're hoping it's just stalling, if you want to call it a tactic, for the next couple of weeks until we see how this deal proceeds. But it's not just in Windsor, Ontario. I understand they've laid some people off temporarily in 2 plants in the U.S. as well, which is not good. As we all know, that parts go back and forth across the border 7-8 times before they get installed in one of the Ontario plants or one of the U.S. plants. So we need to keep moving forward. You know, Liz, this auto pack's been around since 1965. It's worked well. And you can't unscramble an egg. You have to make the omelet larger, and that's what we want to do.
All right. Well, let's figure out how to make an omelet that tastes great for both nations. What would a trade deal look like from where you stand that you would be thrilled with the U.S.?
Let's drop the tariffs and completely. There's no reason to have tariffs. We're working closely with the U.S. administration to come up with a deal that's fair to both sides. And it was President Trump that put the last deal together, and he said it was the greatest deal ever. Well, I guess it's not the greatest deal anymore. So we need to find out what he needs. I know in the auto sector, we buy 400% more cars off the U.S. than Mexico, 200% more than anywhere else in the world. We buy slightly more cars off the U.S. than we ship down there. And the cars that we ship down there, Liz, they have 50% U.S. parts in them. And so I guess the tariff is on the other 50% of Canadian parts. It's so integrated, you just can't switch a light switch and turn everything around overnight.
No, very, very.
All right, from a strictly business perspective, I have to agree with what the Premier is saying. I feel like there are benefits to the trade relationship between the U.S. and Canada, for sure. It's just how much are those benefits, right? Like, do we really need to have the auto jobs there? I don't know. I know that we've had this agreement with them since, 1964 or something along those lines. So probably, the Raptors are up. So probably it'll be, it would be interesting to see, to say the least. But I don't have an issue with Canada we have zero tariffs with Canada back and forth. I know that some of my UAW friends would be like, no, we need to bring that back. Well, I have a separate video for you guys, but it looks like the 1500 overflow stuff is going to be moving to Warren, and 2500 and 35 production might be coming to the Sterling Heights assembly plant sooner than expected. So stay tuned for that. But look, I think a deal with Canada, which is, we both trade a lot with each other, right? They buy more cars from us. We buy a ton of imports in terms of grocery type of items and whatnot from Canada. I could see it. I could 100% see us both winning on a zero tariff type of agreement, as long as we had some kind of understanding on automotive jobs. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that Windsor assembly stays shut down? Because I don't see them opening up on Monday. I know everybody thinks they're gonna fire back up on Monday, but I'm just not seeing it. And I've also seen the articles, and I might do a separate video on this, where they talked about, the Charger six-pack could be delayed because of what's going on. That's a bullshit story. That's crap, okay? And there's already a ton of those vehicles ready to go to dealer lots. So I don't see any delay in that this summer. Could there be a refill issue, like when it's time to build more of them? Yes. But initially, just getting them all lots? No. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends. Whoopee!